Mariam? Do you know, shall I send you the live link and then we do it, or?
Please.
Okay.
بليز بالله ابعثوا لي خليني نعطيها للجماعة باش حاضرين. جد حمحم جهاد حسيته مغصور.
Yeah. You know how it works, huh? Avant le live, huh?
صحيح تشرب من الماء.
Yeah.
It's taken some time. Let's give it a few minutes, please.
Okay. So you guys can see how many participants are there and everything? Or?
73.
Oh, that's cool.
Be careful. It's like you are having a concert, huh?
We're still a bit far from some of the other webinars, cultural webinars. Okay, so the live is not working. Sorry, guys. I'm trying again. Sounds like it is, but it says no.
هو الفيديو متاع رضوان شكون باش يعديه؟
أنا باش نعديه.
Parfait. There is someone who is looking for Kush. Her name or his name, I don't know. Rabia Saidi. Rabia.
Rabia.
He's oh yes, sure. Didn't see Kush.
Okay.
I don't know if someone can check. We'll check the live later. Let's start, right? Everyone okay? So Rabia is. So hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Tunisian startups responding to the COVID-19. I'm Aus Laban. I'm president of ATUGE UK. It's an extremely uncertain moment for business, large and small, across the world. Perhaps the most uncertain in many of our lifetimes. It is also a time, I think, of agility and finding solutions, especially for the healthcare crisis in Tunisia. ATUGE, as you know, has been always behind startups, whether some of its members actually creating startups, helping them to thrive and nurturing them. Many of our members have been also involved in the Startup Act in Tunisia. So it's actually a thematic that we look after and we've been looking after for the last few years. So I'm glad today to host this webinar presenting two innovative startups in the healthcare system, in the healthcare sector. And before I pass the microphone to Kush Bukarai, our partner, who's a senior project manager and digital innovation from OCO Global, they always ask me to do some housekeeping here. So the webinar obviously is live on our ATUGE Facebook, and it will be recorded. So if you need to obviously listen to it again or share it, we would like also to hear from you, our guests, and the number, as I can see, is still increasing. So thank you for being here today. So we will be doing some polls, so please feel free to answer. Those polls will help us obviously guiding the discussion. And obviously please use the Q&A, which should be on the bottom center of your screen to ask your questions. We'll endeavor to answer all those questions either live or basically at the end of the session. So Kush, up to you.
Thank you very much, Shaz, and good evening. I hope everyone's well at this uncertain time. Thank you for joining, and thank you for ATUGE, the whole team there for making this happen. Much appreciated, especially for the British audience as well. So my name, as mentioned, is Kush Bukarai from OCO Global. We're an international boutique trade and investment consultancy, and we're working in Tunisia at the moment supporting 7 startups with market expansion into the UK. We have an accelerator in Tunis. Two of the companies, I'm proud to say, will be speaking in a moment. They're a part of our program. This was actually supposed to be set in a much different place than our living rooms and studies, but overlooking the Thames, Tower Bridge, kindly hosted by London and Partners, was due to happen last month. Hopefully it can happen again. Well, it can happen later on in the year. I'd like to now pass over to our moderator that's kindly donated his time, Ayman Mdemet, Advisory Director from Deloitte, specialist in strategy and digital innovation with 13 years of experience on the major international group scene, head of Greenhouse in Tunisia, and a mentor of entrepreneurship. Over to you, Ayman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach, and welcome everybody. As you said, the entrepreneurial ecosystem has been in high demand from COVID-19 issues in Tunisia, and we have seen many individual and collective initiatives. So let's take a quick look, and before talking with Jihad and Arwen. So in total, we had more than 90 startup and initiatives took place during the last week. So first, the ecosystem has organized itself to respond to this threat. So through group like Dev for Tunisia or crowdfunding platform like Shaqaq.tn, which organized quickly to provide immediate support to people in this crisis. Second thing, we have seen many initiatives also around the printing of medical equipment with collective who have come together to generate 3D mask in particular. The state and the government and professional organization also work with some startup through competitions and also through the creation of a commission within the Ministry of Technology and Communication in Tunisia, which centralize all technological initiatives on behalf of the other ministries, and startups and others submit their initiative on a portal, and the commission will select and track the most promising one. So this started a few days ago, and the commission is looking each day actually on the initiative process on the portal. And finally, startups that have made personal initiative either through their main activity or by adapting their business model. When we see these initiatives, mainly technological, they cover four key axes. First one is the accessibility of live service to citizens and business, such as e-commerce or e-education. Second type is the support of the health service, like remote diagnosis, availability of sanitary equipment, etc. Third is the support of security measures, like control of compliance with curfew and security controls. And finally, the support of our social and economic measures, like the distribution of social help, aids, or the job preservation. For this webinar, we are happy to welcome, as you say, two startups that are currently working to fight COVID-19. On one hand, Razwan from Innova Robotics, a startup that design, manufacture, and market service robots, and which made the news through the robots developed for security monitoring. We also have Jihad and China from Magistai, startups specialized in data science, and who have developed an application that gives the functional characters of the virus, and they will tell us about it. So let's start maybe with Jihad and Shaima. So Jihad, Please tell us more about SKEYE and the initiatives you have put in place.
Yeah, sure. Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, actually. Thank you for joining us. Let me just share my screen to start off. All right. You hear me well?
Yeah, great.
All right. Okay. Right. So I'll make it very, very, very short. And so SKEYE, in a nutshell, is a data analytics technology vendor. So we are specialized in data science, but we actually develop, we craft our approach and our know-how in the technology that we bring about to our customers. And actually, the mission we have chosen is to enable the transition of our customers to a data-driven operating model and a knowledge-based business model. And as most definitions, this seems a little bit abstract, but I'll get back to that in a minute. So my name is Jihad Hanashi. I'm a co-founder of SKEYE. SKEYE was created end of 2017, and after a little bit more than 1.5 years of development of our core technology, we recently started our go-to-market, and actually the program Kush was talking about the prospection in the UK is one of our commercial endeavors. So rather than talking about the technology or jumping into the technology, I would like to set the scene for everyone, and I try to make this as streamlined and as straightforward as possible, in order to give everyone a little bit of the same frame to position us as a company. So when we talk about digital transformation, there is, at least from our perspective, a lot of confusion about it, and we see it as the ultimate phase of a process which starts with the simple digitization of things, or of data, the datification of the world, transforming something that is in paper into some kind of digital format. So that's the basic, step in that. As an example, in Tunisia, recently, one of the ministries had to digitize, literally key into digital format, a list of 600,000 people who needed all kinds of aids in these difficult times. So that's really a digitization. It is being talked about differently, but actually it is simply digitizing some kind of data into an electronic format. The next step is digitalization, which is more or less integrating your data processes and systems in a way that you can automate things so you can gain more efficiency in your operating model. And the last one is digital transformation. And the actual digital transformation is crafting the data that you have and the knowledge that you have as an organization into innovative ways of bringing about your value proposition, or at defining that value proposition in the first place. It is very simplistic to say that the foundation of all these steps is data, because obviously we are not talking about the same data when we are talking about digitalization and we are talking about digital transformation. Because when we talk about digitalization, most of the time it's rigid electronic formats like scanning documents or even PDFs. But when you have a document in PDF, it's digitized data, but probably not the most suitable data for digital transformation. Let's step into the next, the same view, but then from a data science perspective. So digitized data is just needed from our perspective in order to be able to help organizations. And that's really the baseline, but with most organizations, there's a wealth of data that is actually still locked in physical format, and where we advise to digitize that. In order to be able to do some kind of automation or advanced automation and integration of your processes and systems, you need fair data. For those who are not familiar with the process, it's a data that is findable, accessible, interchangeable, and reusable. So it's really a data that is crafted in a way that allows multiple usages and quick usages. Knowledge-enriched data is the data that you need in order to really understand what's behind the dynamics within your organization, and to act on those to craft your value proposition differently. So, you know, when you're going from the left to the right, from digitization into knowledge extraction, there are two dimensions that you talk about in data science. The first is data transformation, basically making sure that digitized data is clean, integrated, fair, joined in a way that allows advanced analytics on it at scale. And the second dimension is the knowledge discovery, is the knowledge extraction, which the more you are good at it, the more potential you can extract from your data in a transformation and a business transformation fashion. Now, because we are a company that is not only in business from a technological standpoint, we have also the same view, but actually from a business model and operating model view. By the way, the two co-founders have completely different backgrounds. One is from technology and data science, and the other, which is myself, from a consulting and a business background, and that's really reflected in our team and in the way we have crafted our technology, but also our value proposition. So the baseline is probably a siloed processes, systems, data organizations. Most organizations are trying to unlock those silos and function in a data-driven way, because there is a lot of efficiency gains in terms of automation, in terms of speed to the market that they can gain from that. And there are few organizations who are knowledge-based, who really at scale extract, mine, and put the knowledge based from the data they have, or they can get access to, at the disposition of the decision makers across the whole organization. The same dimensions, but then expressed differently, apply here. So when we are going from a siloed into a knowledge-based organization, we're talking about one dimension is, you know, innovating in terms of operating model, so in terms of bringing about to the market an existing value proposition, but also about a business model innovation. So the more you're able to extract knowledge and to apply knowledge, the better you will be able to grab that potential and be innovative in terms of value proposition, which is the mix of the market needs and the products that you're offering. And that's basically our view of where the change is happening right now, or at most organizations. A lot of efforts going into unlocking the data with a view of gaining efficiency in terms of operating model, with trials to extract knowledge, but most of the time with failure to deploy that knowledge at scale. And actually, that's really the position that we have taken, which is have a technology that allows all those phases, including the knowledge extraction and including the deployment at scale of that. So in a nutshell, our technology is it's called SKEYE Gate, and it's an end-to-end advanced analytics factory. It covers all the steps that are needed that I was talking about. But also it allows, which is one of the areas that is not done enough in data analytics from my perspective, which is exploratory data analytics. So exploring data in an open-ended way without having a use case beforehand. And there's a wealth of knowledge to be discovered out there. And obviously, one of the core components of our technology is SKEYE Predict, which is an optimal predictive analytics technology that we have used for the use case about COVID-19 that I will talk about in a minute. Just a glance on the team. So two co-founders. Yeah, sure. Tell me.
Maybe just a quick question.
Yeah, sure.
At this stage, so all your work and your technology are based on data. So do you find some issue to find high quality data in Tunisia that you can use in your research and your experience?
Excellent question, actually, and thank you for the question. Actually, when we started, we assumed that data exists, and we have built SKEYE Predict. So we said, okay, we'll go with that knowledge component, a system that allows to extract knowledge from a fair data that organizations should have, or at least some organizations that we were targeting should have. And the first contact that we had with the market learned us that we need to really expand the reach of our technology in order to cover the whole transformation value chain, because it is an issue indeed in terms of availability of the data in the first place, but also if the data is available in digitized format, about transforming it. And that's not the case only in Tunisia. Actually, it is the case also in the Netherlands, here, in Europe in general, but also in the UK, and in the COVID use case that I will talk about in a minute. We have also encountered that situation where there's a wealth of data available there, public data, very knowledge-rich data, but it is extremely burdensome to really extract and unlock the value from that data, the knowledge that is in there, because the data is not structured, is not integrated, combined the right way, is not necessarily cleansed, etc. So it's a general issue, and I think it's inherent to most analytics endeavors and to most digital and transformation projects. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes,
Ayman?
that's great. Thank you.
All right, good. So the team, for now, 2 co-founders, 8 team members with, as I mentioned earlier, a combination of data scientists, web developers for the front end part, and the business expertise. Because we have developed an agnostic technology, so we are not bound to a thematic application or use. And that was a difficult choice because it's easier to choose to specialize in a thematic use of a specific technology, because then you can compensate if your technology is a little bit weak. But then you'll miss, the transformation that is happening in the other sectors. So we have made the choice, the strategic choice, to build an agnostic technology with the possibility to build multiple solutions and applications out of it. And the one that I will show in a while is one of them. So basically, for COVID, what we've done is, this is a quote from an actual wet lab, so researcher, and he said, we have a black box. He's talking about the virus. We are trying to open it to look inside with the best eye we have and the best tool we have developed. And he was talking about the tools that they use or that they use in the laboratory, but actually data could also, or the data analytics tools could also provide the eye that the professionals and the experts are looking for. So the problem with the existing way of doing in drug discovery, because that's the use case we have worked on, is that it's not fast enough when you are in an urgent situation. So the usual drug discovery process takes years. It was surprising for me personally, because I come from a financial service world, actually, initially. And there we are more talking about the the high frequency trading, etc. So talking about years to bring about a product is really, really a big discovery for myself. But it is the business as usual now in that sector. It is a very long time to patient, and when you're facing an urgency like this one, you need to find a way to identify the existing molecules that can help. The way it is being done is mainly on relying on the researcher's experience and the intuition, and this is where exactly we intervene and we help. So what we did is we explored, collected, and joined, cleansed all the publicly available wet lab manual characterization data about the organisms, the genes in general. We've constituted a transformation pipeline in order to join and to make a navigable data lake, let's say, from that data swamp. Then we applied our knowledge extraction modules in order to learn, extract the models from those, and we deployed that on the genome from the SARS-CoV-2 genome as soon as that one was published. It was in February when we did that. Now, 2 months later, the manual characterization are starting to be published, and we are benchmarking our results with those. The next step in this MVP is actually the deployment or the operationalization of those extracted knowledges. So basically generating some kind of drug map for the researchers to start the wet lab rather than starting from a blank sheet. Integrate the preclinical research data and update that drug map accordingly, and the same for the clinical test. And the whole idea, obviously, to have a solution or a technology that allows you to do that in an iterative way in order to integrate and to fine-tune your results as we go. Last thing to say here is that we have a dedicated module. Yeah.
Now, just to see if my understanding is well. So basically, to reduce the time from the research to the solution and to the testing the solution and to provide the solution to the patient. So basically what you do is you build some predictive models based on the data you collected before, and you run some tests with, or you follow up some tests with clinical in the clinic with patients, etc., and you go back to adjust your models, and this allows to the research in general to go faster and to reduce the time frame of the process, right? With one big difference is that it's not some predictive models that we generate. We have developed a technology that is very robust in terms of coverage, in terms of scale of the knowledge that we extract, and in terms of robustness when you apply that model in a larger data set. Meaning that when we have a new genome, new instance like the SARS-CoV-2 for us was a really good test to deploy that model and to generate automatically what people would do in a wet lab. And that serves as the basis for the start of the wet lab work. But also, more importantly, we have also generated a short list of candidate molecules, or coordinated drugs for molecules, I should say, for COVID-19, based on this work. I'll just mention the modules that we used here for each and every step. It mimics a little bit the structure I've talked about earlier. So we have a module that is dedicated for the initial exploration of data, the prototyping of the whole project. We have a module that is dedicated for literally building the pipelines, our predictive analytics factory, SKEYE Predict, and also the right tools for having your data orchestrated and saved the right way. And for the deployment, we have the advanced or simple visualization tools in order to put the results of our work at the disposition of the professionals, or if we are an integration or deployment at scale within another context, then we have the right APIs in order to feed the operation systems with that knowledge that we have extracted. I'll just very quickly share with you. Can you see my screen? Can you see? Yes.
Ayman? All right. So this is a little bit the output of the work we have done. So these are the themes, or the themes that that in general are covered in a functional characterization of an organism. So the name, the catalytic activity, the enzyme formation number, the functions, etc. Yeah.
Sorry, Jihad, I think you are presenting the demo right now, right?
Yes,
I think we are not
so
seeing
this is just...
we are
you're
just
not.
seeing
Okay.
the slide deck.
Okay. I'll share it right now. Then I'm not sharing the right app. Here it is.
Yes, it's work.
I was here. All right. So this is the output. This is really the deployment, the first deployment of the analysis that we have done. So these are the dimensions, let's say, or the themes that are covered in a functional characterization of an organism in general. And here you have the summary a little bit with the links to the data sources that we used as input for the genome, etc. And here you have the summary a little bit of the predictions that we have generated, and a little bit, and just navigate it very quickly to give you a feeling of what we generate. So basically, here you have for each and every gene of the virus. So this is the reference of the gene. You have all the, let's say, the attributes or the characteristics of it that we generated. So this is the first step. Really understand what are the attributes of the gene. So if we are talking about the client for the bankers in the audience or those in business, then I would talk about the characteristic of my client in terms of, you know, the demographic data, but also in terms of behavioral attributes. Then based on that, and we did that for each and every gene, and based on that, we have generated the functional characterization. So how does that look like? It looks like this, basically. Let me see. Yeah, this one is better. Here we go. So for each one of the themes that we were able to predict, you have a description of it, which is generated by SKEYE Predict, and you have the rules that explain that. And I'll go back to the rules in a second. So here is a little bit the path from the gene to the prediction. So we are not just generating the predictions, we're also explaining those predictions with, this is an actual rule. A rule is a combination of attributes that I showed in the beginning. So basically, when we are talking about generating a prediction, understanding, extracting knowledge, this is the knowledge that we are talking about. When we showed this to the professionals, to the health authorities in Tunisia, they were glad because they are able to see the characterization, but also to understand where that comes from, you know, with the combination of those signatures or attributes of each and every gene. So we are talking about explainable AI here. It's not about the prediction. It's really about the knowledge that explains that prediction. We are in healthcare, so we cannot afford, you know, being short or being just focused on the prediction and neglecting, let's say, the knowledge part, the explanation part, because we are dealing with patients' health here, and it's very important. But this is the technology that we have allows this, and it will also be as useful in a banking context or in a client segmentation context, or even in understanding, you know, the behavior of an infrastructure from a maintenance perspective. It's really the same rationale, and here comes the agnostic part or agnostic characteristic of our technology. And last but not least, the list of molecules, which, by the way, this is this terminal is currently being. We share this obviously with the health authorities in Tunisia, and they are using it to for now to integrate that in the possible treatments, and or at least in the possible the options for treatments and scheduling the preclinical and clinical tests. There are some molecules which are as in the market already, and even not drugs, so they are including that in the tests, in the clinical tests. This is what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, Jihad. Maybe two quick questions, and we will get back to the question at the end of the webinar. We are talking about new virus. So to have a good model, you have to train it with some data. So where you find the data for these new cases to train the model? So this is the first question. And the second one, do you achieve some result right now? What are the impact to the health ecosystem of what you have done?
Yeah, just about the data part, I mentioned quickly that there are a lot of data sources that we have used to train the model. Indeed, so this is a snapshot of the data sources that we have used. All public data, all trustworthy and well-known providers. So this is actually the data is there. What's difficult and what's really burdensome was the work that was necessary in order to make that data navigable in the first place. And this is not something that we have done because of the COVID. Actually, this is a product that we were working on for a while. So for us, COVID or the SARS-CoV-2, I should say, is an instance. It's just a new instance on which we can deploy our model. And this is the second part of the discussion we are having with the health authorities in Tunisia. The first part was, okay, we have this, it is useful, there are candidate molecules, there is analysis behind it that you can use in order to make your decision about whether or not to use those molecules for the possible treatments. The second part is to integrate this solution as to reinforce, to systematically use it when, or hopefully not, but for each and every new epidemic or each and every new virus, bacteria, etc., that the health authorities are dealing with. And this is the discussion we're having right now with the health ministries in Tunisia.
Great. Thank you very much, Jihad.
All right. You're welcome.
Thank you. Let's move to Radwan. So hello again, Radwan. All other sector. So in robotics, you have become, or in any case, the robot has become a famous star all over the world. So tell us a bit about what you do and this incredible experience. So please.
Thank you very much. Good evening, and I hope you are all safe and your families. I will start by presentation of Innova Robotics and the team, and after that we will play a trailer of the Pigard robot, which is becoming a little star in the media these days. So I will share my screen. Okay, so Innova Robotics is a company created in 2014. And is one of the world's renowned high-tech enterprises specializing in mobile robots and artificial intelligence for security and safety and healthcare. Our main expertise is the autonomous navigation and object and anomaly detection. By autonomous navigation, we mean the robot is moving in its environment in a safe way, detecting obstacles and avoiding them. And by object and anomaly detection, it's the artificial. It's a part of the intelligence of the robot, which means the robot is able to detect behaviors, is able to detect anomalies, even for intrusions or something like that. We have two main applications for our robotics systems. The first one is the security with the security robot, the P-Guard. And the second one is the healthcare with the AirSense robot. We have also two other kind of robots, which are the mini lab and educational robots dedicated to universities to teach engineers how to program in robotics and artificial intelligence. And the fourth one is the AGV, which is dedicated to industrial, aiming to automizing their processes. So Innova Robotics, at Innova Robotics, we master the whole process of designing, developing, and producing mobile robots. We have the researchers and doctors in robotics in our team. And every year we have a number of academic publication papers published in top academic journals globally. We have partnerships with laboratories. We have our own R&D department, and we have joint R&D laboratory partnership, even in Tunisia and in France. We are actually based in South Tunisia and in Paris, France, with a global team of 30 persons. So this is our team in Tunisia. This is our team in France. This is our board with over than 100 years in cumulative research in robotics. So let me introduce you the P-Guard security robot technology. So we will play a video of the robot to show the capabilities of the robot. Could you please So the P-Guard robot it looks like a small vehicle, as you see. It's an all-terrain vehicle equipped by cameras and sensors and able to reach a difficult access area. So we have different kinds of camera embedded on the robot. We have a fixed turret with 360 vision to survey and supervise the surround of the robot. And the mobile 360 moving turret with optical and thermal imaging. The robot is equipped by LiDAR for obstacle detection. So once the robot detects any obstacle, he is avoiding it. The robot is used for sensitive sites, like industrial sites, governmental sites. We can also use it for border surveillance. And as you see, actually the robot is used by the MOE in Tunisia to survey people and to ask them to keep safe and to stay home. The robot is delivered with a command and control station, including software, a server, and the joystick. So for the P-Guard robot, there is no limited use cases related to the security field, even for security, civil security, and for military use.
It's the same we see in the street here in Tunisia, right?
Yes, absolutely, yes. Over the camera embedded by the robot also embed the communication system, voice communication system with microphone and loudspeakers to maintain direct communication with people in the street or in the field. So this is for security. Robot. For the healthcare robot, we also have the VIA Sense robot. I will also share with you a video of the VIA Sense robot. Okay. So the VIA Sense robot is an indoor robot dedicated to nursery homes, medical centers, to support medical staff and doctors carrying patients and old people. So the robot has a human physical dimension to be able to keep contact between patients in the medical centers and their customers and their doctors in a remote location. We provide with the robot the application for the management and the robot and for the communication. Actually, this robot is deployed in medical centers in France and nursery homes to help to make primary diagnosis, by the doctors, and also to help patients and their families to maintain a social link, which is very important for the recovery of patients.
Radwen, the robot is deployed in the context of COVID-19 or
yes,
or before?
Initially the robot the robot initially is deployed since 2016. And actually he is being deployed in the context of COVID-19.
And there is some project to deploy this kind of experience with some hospitals in Tunisia, or not yet?
Yes, absolutely. We have actually our technical team is adapting the robot for the hospital Abdurrahman Memi. And in few days, maybe next weekend, we will deploy the robot for them. We have also some demand from other hospitals. We are actually studying them. So the robot will what the robot will do in this context. It will limit physical contact between nursing staff and patients contaminated by COVID-19. It will carry out diagnostics, and also it will maintain contact between patients and their family while protecting them from the risk of contagion.
And it is a very, very important point in this COVID-19 issue.
Yes, absolutely. The security robot.
Thank you.
Yes. For the security robot, the robot is initially made for security tasks, surveillance, public safety, and homeland security. And it proves to us today how robotics systems can be very useful in time of crisis and in time of pandemic. Because today the robot is working in the rain, in the street,
and hopefully this is just a trigger. Hopefully beyond, I think there's and this is a feeling that I would like to share. There's a huge gain of importance for digital transformation in general in the country, but also everywhere. And it's hopefully this will not like stop, or at least go to the way we were trying to convince that it's really important. It has value. It brings value, and it really helps to tackle things differently and more efficiently, but also better.
Absolutely. What I want to add is that for example, the robot is a carrier. We can embed any kind of technology we want to embed. We can take measurements, medical measurements, for example, and make an integration with GHEAD's system and make.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was about to say, if you need anything,
predict future diseases.
Absolutely.
So, in case of the
this
COVID-19,
is a good conclusion.
Yeah. In case of the COVID-19, actually, our team in SUS is working on embedding a contactless temperature capture sensor.
Right.
So we can embed any kind of technology. We can combine technologies, and we can really be an effective part of the digital transformation, not only in time of crisis, but also after the crisis. Yeah.
So you allow me to make a great transition. So thank you, Radwan, for your what you do a great job, and thank you also for what you do to fight COVID. So we talked about the initiative to fight COVID, but also we know that in this period we generate great economic issues. Many sectors will be affected. There is a reflection underway on the economic recovery plan, but what emerged from it is that there are sectors that will definitively benefit from the crisis, so such as health and health tech, and also digital and robotization. So GHEAD, how do you see the future perspective from your side? Have you thought about modification in the activity, or some reinforcement maybe in some activities due to the crisis?
Actually, I won't change that quickly, because I mean the driver is really a passion about what we are doing, as much for myself as for my co-founder and for the rest of the team. So we do like what we do, and this is one of the first reasons that's actually pushed us to start the business. What is happening is confirming us in our strategic choices, meaning that data is very important when you are doing digital transformation. It's not about the technologies; it's about the business view of it, about the use and the value that you can extract. And technology should allow to accompany that transition, either in the simple data transformation part or in the more sophisticated knowledge extraction and deployment at scale part. We're definitely not changing, but we are focusing on. We have made the choice of agnosticity in terms of technology, but obviously we cannot serve all the sectors. So we have made some choices. To be honest, a couple of months ago we were talking with banks. We still are talking with governments. We still are, but healthcare was in our strategy, but not for this term. And what's changed is that shift into the healthcare discussions. To be honest, 3 months ago it was very, very difficult for us to say, okay, we're going to talk to the health authorities in Tunisia, because from our perspective, but it proves that we are also wrong in that vision. In our perspective, they are probably not ready yet to start that transition. Actually, this crisis proved that they are digesting our content. They are trying to use it. They are even thinking with us to structurally use that into their role, and this is a great thing. This is a great development. Obviously, unfortunate situation, but there are some bright sides for what's happening, and hopefully this will last.
It brings some opportunities I think, for some business, but also to the nation, to go through a
Absolutely.
digitalization process that we try to do it with some government, but I think it's a great opportunity to do it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jihad. I think one of the vectors for startup development is the internationalization, and this is more true in the current context. So, Radwan, I know you, and we have seen you have team in France in particular. So, are you thinking about accentuating your presence in other markets or developing your business, maybe the safety robot, the peak guard, or other kind of robots in other markets?
Yes, absolutely. We launched the Innova Robotics in France since 18 months, and the main idea was that we have some customers in France, and we have to be next to our customers to be efficient in after-sales services and customer support. So we launched the Innova Robotics in France, and we aim to develop by this French branch, we aim to develop a part of the European market. In our strategy, we have also plans for Middle East market. We started working on it at the beginning of the year, but now with the COVID-19, things are going slowly. But yes, we have plans to. I have been in UK with OCO last December, so the UK market is interesting us so far. So yes, we have development plans. We do it step by step. As a startup, we have small resources, so we try to do it step by step, but in a very good way, I hope.
Thanks, Radwan. I think it brings what you do both. It brings a great message to the world. First one, I think, it's that we use technology and innovation to fight COVID-19. And the second point is this crisis will bring also some opportunities to our business, to our startups. So here also we have some faith to do great things after the crisis. Thank you both. Maybe let's move to the Q&A, and maybe Mariam will take 2 or 3 questions from the audience.
Hi. So I'm not sure if they will be happy, the audience, because I think I have more than 2 or 3 questions. I think maybe per startup I have 10 questions, but I think it's a time issue. It's not that we don't want to. So let's start with Jihad. So 2 questions came from Alistair, I think, and Amal. They said, what does FAIR stand for?
Oh yeah. So it's it's findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And these are like intrinsic characteristics of the data in order for you to be able to build a sound digital transformation on top of it. So that's why I say that transition is really a data transition in the first place. Obviously, this is a framework we have developed, and this is one of the first things we start when we talk to client is to assess the fairness of their data before we even start the initiative. So we do not jump into modeling. We really start with assessing the soundness of the data. And as you know, the stronger your foundations, the deeper your foundations, the higher you can build. And fairness is one a good framework to assess that.
Okay. Thanks. I'll try to have the first question and then the last question, so no one will be. So we have a question from Farah. She said, we are doing such predictive tasks also with bioinformaticians, I think. How robust and original is your solution compared to available ontology tools?
Yeah, well, the easiest way to answer that is how accurate are actually the predictions that we generate and how rich in terms of coverage they are. We did a quick assessment based on the recently, it was published yesterday actually, the manual characterization, and it really shows a high level of accuracy and precision compared to the manual, so the actually manually created or characterized genome. So this is one of the characteristics. The second characteristic is the fact that it is explainable AI, meaning that it tells you in a digestible way, and that's on another characteristic, a digestible way where the predictions come from. And the last thing is that it's not only about the prediction, it's the whole process where we transform the data in order to be able to, from a distributed data, to have really a navigable knowledge base, not only database, that is enriched continuously as we get new insights. So we are performing a benchmarking right now based on the recently published manual characterizations, and we'll release the results soon. But the initial analysis shows that we have really a very high level of precision in the matter.
Okay, so last questions. Tasneem is asking, that would be the preclinical trials on new molecules?
Sorry, say again?
I mean, we have the question that she said, that would be the preclinical trials on the new molecules.
Not new molecules, these are existing molecules, but they were not tested for COVID-19, obviously. And what the health authorities are thinking about indeed is testing those on COVID patients. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, shall I move to the second? Ayman, shall I move to the second?
If you just actually, there was one question I see that I would like to answer, if I may, Mariam.
Yes.
So there's a question about if there's a way to use the same technology to map out the real-time model for the spread of the COVID-19 in Tunisia. The answer is yes. And actually, as a matter of fact, we have submitted yesterday a proposal based on a call that was published by the authorities and the Tunisian startups community for exactly that use case, where we said, okay, we have the SKEYE Gate technology. We can bring some structure and scale into the data that has been gathered up until now. And hopefully that will lead somewhere. So yes, and hopefully we are working on it.
Thank you very much. Let's move to Radwan. So I think most of the questions that I'm having, like, they want to be sure that the robot is not transmitting the COVID-19. How you are going to do that? I mean, how you are ensuring that the robot is not,
Yes. So the robot is a tool dedicated to the medical staff to help them to make their work without being contaminated. So it will be working with patients in the space of the patients, and maintaining contact between patients and medical staff. Once we want to take the robot out, we can clean it as we clean anything in our houses. So if it is well used, it will not be transmitting the COVID-19.
Thank you. We have another question. Is that you said that there is a behavior detection in the robot? Aladdin is asking, how does it work?
So based
on computer vision tech is the question.
Yes. So it's computer vision. Yes, it's computer vision. With the camera, we have the video took by the camera on the robot and treated in another server, which recognize more than 10,000 objects. So what we do is we take the picture or the video and we make a kind of comparison. This is how it works.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think sorry for the others, the last question is coming from Amin. He said, I'm curious about the robot used by the Tunisian army. Would it be possible to have an overview about the adopted technology by the CSO of ENR, I think? I think it's a very technical question.
I will look for it in the conversation window. I don't see the question. Could you please repeat it?
Yes, he said, would it be possible to have an overview about the adopted technology?
An overview of the adopted technology.
Yes.
For the security robot. What kind can he, if he is already here, can he please clarify the question?
Okay, but let's give him a chance and then I probably will ask another question. So there is a question for the two startups. He said, when has your cooperation with the public organisms started? And then did you get, I think both of you have the startup label. So you just want to know when the cooperation with the public organism, what kind of, partnership that you are having with them.
Yeah, from our side, we got the label last year in July. It was, there was communication around it, so I guess it gives us some visibility. In terms of contacts with the authorities, also from our perspective, it started before the crisis. With the health authorities in particular, it started with the crisis. So the trigger for that proactive action from our side was really the situation. Before that, we were talking with other public organizations in Tunisia about valuing the wealth of data that they have to solve basically let's say big issues and questions in Tunisia, and having really a digital transformation mindset when attacking those. So that started before the COVID situation, because these were other types of organizations.
Okay, you, Radwin?
Yes. So we have the Startup Act label. We approached the Ministry of Interior and other ministries to make collaboration together. And the Startup Act label helped us to make some contacts, but it's still, it's still a long time to really start a business with the public administration.
Okay, so if you wanna, if you will agree to stay with us, I still have other questions because they really wanted to have the answers. If I have the right to go, I can keep asking.
It's okay for me.
Okay, so I have a question from Huda, because also she's having something saying like, my questions are there in the chat. So she's asking about the connectivity. She said for Radwan, so for Innova Robotics, she's asking about what kind of connectivity, like it is what kind of connection mode, it is Wi-Fi or mobile, and also what about the security robot, please? 4G, would it need 5G?
Yes, for the security robot, it works with both 4G and the long-range Wi-Fi. So we have some customers with big industrial sites, large industrial sites, and which are deploying long-range Wi-Fi in their sites. so we can deploy the robot in their own network, Wi-Fi, long-range Wi-Fi network, and make the robot working directly on their networks. The robot also works on 4G, so it can work everywhere covered by 4G connection.
Okay, so how
for the healthcare, yeah, for the healthcare, it also uses both Wi-Fi and 4G.
And how they are secured against the
yes, we use protocols, security protocols to make the communication secured and the information transition secured.
Thanks. Back to Jihad. There is a lot of people, I think, asked. Yeah? Ready?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Okay. So a question from Hanan. She said the clinical test data here are the simulated ones from your model? The data
yeah, no. Actually, what I wanted to say through I see what she's referring to. So what we do is provide some analysis of wet lab research. So before that starts, but what we have suggested and what we would like to do is once that research started, that to datify that process as well. So the wet lab research will go its way, but what we will do differently is to collect that data and include it in our knowledge base in order to update the drug map, what we generate as we go, as we progress. So that's not a data that is generated. It's really the clinical test data that the professionals will generate. The fact is that we digest it and then we include it in the loop, basically.
Okay, so that give us this next question: how to score credibility of data and rates its impact on the output?
Sorry, how?
To score credibility of the data and rate its impact on the output.
The data are, which it depends which data. For this one, and that's what we would try to do for every project. We always try to, regardless of the quality of the data, we try to use reliable data from a functional standpoint. So the data that we used for the learning is data published by well-known, reliable organizations. When it is used and the data that we ingest during the deployment of the solution is also data that is produced by the actual professionals, the actual researchers, which is also, I assume, reliable. So we also have ways in our process to cleanse the data, to filter out any noise. In this context, it's not the case because the data is really very, very specific and very thematic. But in other contexts, when we are talking about customer, for example, dynamic segmentation of customers based on our solution, then there's a lot of noise in the data, a lot of unreliable data or not trustworthy data from source perspective. And there are ways to cleanse that data, and our models support that very well. But that brings me to another remark here, which is it's not a technical process cleansing the data. It is actually the technology allows that, but then what you need to do involves also or needs the involvement of the functional people, of the actual professionals from that specific field. What we recommend in our projects is to include the business or the professionals or the experts from the very beginning. Don't call them when you have or you think you have already transformed the data and that is clean and ready to use, because their insights will help you to have a better structured data in the first place. And that's very, very valuable when you would like to build something sound out of your data.
Okay, thank you. Back to Radwan. Radwan, they are asking about what are the results and the feedback following the robots experiments in the street of Tunisia, and then how to ensure that the robots are used to implement and enforce regulation around COVID-19.
Yes, actually, the robot is used by the MOE to control and to supervise that confinement regulation is applied by people. The second use is the surveillance and the security. So the robot is also patrolling in the lockdown hours between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. This is how today the robot ensures no application. After it depends of the ministry and the use of the robot. We ensure the technology providing and the technology efficiency, and depending on the needs and depending on the requirements of our customers, they use the system as they need.
So I think it's because I have also other questions, like it's waterproof and it has its own autonomy. Okay.
Yes, the robot is waterproof. So we have had some rainy days last week, and the robot works very, very well. And for the robot is fully autonomous. So we put on the map of the robot. We put on the map in the software of the management of the robot. We set up points on the map on the GPS, and the robot goes from one point to another in an autonomous way, and can make all the city working autonomously. For the battery autonomy, we ensure up to 8 hours autonomy.
Okay, so I have a remark from Huda. She said, thank you, Radwan. Orange and telecommunication companies, they might be interesting. They are pushing for use case that can help them further monetize 5G and sell 5G solution for businesses. That could be a good case. They can resell for select industries and healthcare in partnership with companies like yours. So yes, probably you will have a partner from here. And I have also another, for both of you, for Radwan and Jihad, for both companies, would you consider partnership with UK-based companies to develop innovative product services? He said, he's anonymous. He said, I help companies to unlock funding through grant and subsidies for project involving UK companies. I can contact you to explore such an opportunity based on your answers. So please say yes.
Yeah.
Both of you.
So I don't know, Radwan, you would like to start?
I know the answer is yes. So yes. Please contact both of them. We'll have their contact
It's
details.
not only
where to sign.
It's not
Show
only
me where
yes.
to sign.
Yeah, it's not only yes. Actually, we are working with CoVID and OCO Global. We are this is a 6-month program. So this started last year October. And it is a whole program in order for us to understand a little bit the dynamics of the UK market and to have foot on the ground in there through partnerships, direct clients, and the innovation ecosystem in there. So yes, of course, but we are even in the process of doing that with other players in the ecosystem to be linked to the innovation endeavor in the country. So absolutely. We'll be glad to. I don't know if our emails will be shared, Mariam, but otherwise I can drop that now.
Yes, sure. I mean, that's what we are doing here today. Yes, that's our role, actually. Yeah.
All right.
We'll be sharing. Last question for Radwan. So it's like your robots are able to learn or are provided with the ready-to-use rules. Like, I think it's a yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. The robots are able to learn. We embed, for example, in the healthcare robot, we embed what we call a chatbot, voice chatbot, and this voice chatbot is learning every time when we add in the database of the chatbot. Every time there is any question who still non-understand by the robot, it's saved by the robot, and we make the response. So yes, the robots are able to learn. They start by learning their environment to be able to navigate and move in a safe way. And every time they meet unusual situation, unusual case, they learn it.
Okay. I mean, very happy to have both of you. And then thank you for all the attendees. I think from my side, Ayman, we are...
Thank you, Mariam. I think, guys, thank you very much. It was really interesting, and we received already quite a lot of feedback. I just, and many have asked also more questions on the Facebook Live, but in a way, I think if you can please summarize it in like 5 minutes, right? I have three questions for you, right? And it goes, from now to the future. As you know, now currently the market is difficult. The business is very difficult. What are you guys doing in order, obviously, to survive this current market environment? Difficulty of raising money, difficulty, of selling, and obviously working from home. What are, if you have any recommendations there, would be good. And I think the second one is, how about the future, right? When can we, or what do you need, or what help? And I'm sharing with you the results where actually many people are interested in, even investing, etc. So when, or what are currently the hurdles, but how will you overcome them to see your companies becoming, large companies, maybe one day IPOs, somewhere. So where can we help as a diaspora, Tunisian or actually British or African? We have actually some friends from the African diaspora here joining as well. And I think the last one is, during this COVID situation, but hopefully also in the future, how the government did react, how the Tunisian government did react, what are, and again, hopefully, shortly, what are the 2-3 recommendations you would have to the government currently? What are the hurdles you've seen, bureaucracy? Is it, how would you, or how did you overcome that, right? Because obviously you both now working with the government, which is great. In a situation where you need agility, you need people who are actually taking decisions, quick decisions. And as we all know, sometimes the government in situations of stress, they tend to be have difficulty in managing the crisis.
Yeah. All right. Should I start, Radwan, or you would like to go for it?
Okay.
All right. So in terms of difficulties, actually, I'm amazed to see all the people who are just discovering working from home and working remotely. We are doing this since 2017. I'm personally in between Tunisia and Amsterdam. My co-founder is in the UK. Part of the team is in Tunis. The other part of the team is in Janduba. We work together every day. Remotely or physically, it's not a question anymore. It's really the geographic hurdle is not a hurdle anymore. We just work every day together, and we have developed our technology. We brainstorm, we think, we go to the market. Obviously, from a business development perspective, we miss, but that's a general situation. We miss that direct contact, that close contact with the client, where you go there and actually meet them and have the face-to-face contact. But this is the only thing that changed. But for the rest, it's really our native way of working. And so that's one part. The second part, and I'll go even further, we don't have, at least for now, we are 10 persons. There's no like rules for when to start and when to end, etc. It's really agile. Really, the teams, the whole team, really self-manage, because we're all PhD and highly educated and responsible team. So there's no single need for micromanagement. People arrange their days with their teams the way they would like to, as long as work progresses, as long as projects progress, as long as the customer is happy, we are happy. Nobody's questioning the way things work. I don't know when we become 200 or 300 or 1,000, maybe things will change, but for now, we're really happy with the way of things are going. At Majestai, we have chosen up until now, that was a strategic choice as well, to grow organically. We did not go very quickly to the investment and to the funding, to the external funding. So for up until now, we are fully funded by the co-founders. The idea is that our development, so after we have our first acquisitions, after we have our products running at some organizations, we will accelerate the growth. For now, we are working on 3 markets: the Netherlands, the UK, and Tunisia. Those are the markets that we know, that we have physical presence in part of the team, and that we would like to have our first clients. And then we'll scale, and obviously when we're going to scale, and that's going to happen between now and the end of this year, or maybe beginning of 2021. So we have that room, thankfully, to go there. We will definitely seek external funding, and so for the investors in the audience, we are interested in some kind of, not only the fresh cash, which is obviously necessary, but also some kind of partnership from an investor that really believes in our model, in the way we see things. It could be, by the way, a client. I didn't mention that, but we have currently a discussion with a public structure in Tunisia, which is interested to find the right vehicle to invest in us and be a client for a specific solution. And that's also an option for us, as long as it is a fair partnership and it really makes the company progress. So we have a couple of options, and the situation changed things in the sense that we got more ears. So I'm getting to the second part, or the third one out. We got more ears, and actually, what I, from my own personal experience, but also prospecting for Majestai, there are two takeaways. So the first one is, yes, there is some kind of inertia. Of course, there is some kind of slowness to move, but there are really interesting decision makers. The thing is, you need to have the chance to come across those. There are people within the public, let's say l'administration, the public structures in Tunisia, who really understand what is at stake, who really believe in the transformation that needs to be well designed and well deployed, and who actually react positively and help you and give you that pushback. What we are missing is to have a tone at the top that makes all the stakeholders that we would like to talk to as an ecosystem receptive in such a way. So that tone at the top is still missing, and I think that would be very good if that communication from within the organization and from the government, actually downwards, will be stronger and clearer in terms of vision, because everybody's talking about digitalization, digital transformation, and then we mix all the things, and the simplest thing that is put online is a revolution, and then there's a lot of noise but less of concrete things, and it is starting. A lot of things happened in such a short time. It's impressive, but it shows that things can actually go as fast as the ecosystem is claiming they could go. and that's a very good development actually. Hopefully, the awareness will go higher for those key stakeholders and decision makers within the public structure. I will close with the future because that would be a nice closing statement. Of course, we would like to develop. We are ambitious, very ambitious. I think we have built a model that is scalable in terms of product, but also in terms of team and in terms of setup of the whole thing. For now, we have our legal structure in Tunisia, but it's only because that's what we need for now. As we progress, we'll definitely think about or a UK or a EU, or maybe both, depending on what the Brexit negotiation will bring about. But that we'll do that not for the sake of it, but really because there's a business rationale behind, and the moment will come, as I mentioned earlier, between now and end of this year, maybe first quarter 2021. And I think that will go in parallel with the first external fresh funding that we'll have as a company.
Very good. Yes.
By the way, it's up to you.
Okay. So, thank you, Jihad. Regarding how Innova Robotics we faced the COVID crisis and how we adapted our work way of work. So we first started by an internal adaptation by setting up some procedures and teleworking tools, allowing the whole team, both based in Paris and in Tunisia, to remain dynamic and productive. So Innova Robotics is a hardware and software company. We are an industrial company. So the major part of our team has to be in the office to really realize it works. So we set up some procedures and teleworking tools to allow the team to work. And once the government made the platform for the authorization, we will be the first. One of the first companies to have the authorization to go to the office and make our engineers and our team working. After that, we thinking about how we can help the government, how we can help our country to fight against COVID-19, and we have had the idea to go to the Ministry of Interior and to the Ministry of Health. One of the inconvenience of the pandemic is the breakdown of social ties. With the robot, it is possible to establish these social ties and to maintain them while preserving people's health from the contagion. So this is how how was our reaction to face the coronavirus. So actually, we have a part of the team working from home, and a part of the team which goes to the office every day to prepare the robots, even for the healthcare use and for the security use, to be able to deliver. So this is how we faced the lockdown. For the future, we see a great potential. We see real potential for robotics use. Actually, our robots working in the markets are making them prove and are being efficient in their works. We see we see a great potential even in Tunisia and in Europe, in Middle East, in America, and we have a very scalable market with a very scalable market. So we opted for a development model based on a network of partners in each country. So when we have some customers in any country, we do have partners able to make maintenance, able to make how we say maintenance tasks and to support our customers there. So how we once this pandemic will end, we will enhance our strategy, building partners network in Europe and Middle East for the first step, and for sure in other countries for the second step. And we will also enhance our positioning with the local market by helping the government and public institutions in the digital transformation.
Great. Yeah, and maybe ATUGE, you can.
Oh, sorry.
No,
just. It is an important question, by the way, which one of our friends have been asking, and we try to answer on your behalf because I would expect that the answer is there. But how about the security? Kind of, in the UK we have something called GDPR, which is
Yes.
data security. How do you guys manage it? So obviously you have the robots going in the streets and taking pictures and photos of people, etc.
Yes.
Is there something easy for you? It is the same, right? How your team?
Yes. Maybe it will. Maybe you will be impressed by that. But even in Tunisia, we have RGPD.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Yeah. I know that.
We do. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, and in France also they used to have RGPD, and a very good thing happened to us in 2019 last year. We have been selected by one of our customers because our robots are compliant with RGPD in France.
Yeah, and I mean we have a data analytics platform, so that's definitely one of the aspects that we tackle. So from a security perspective, it depends whether the access is on from cloud or at the premises of the client. Most of the time, it's at the premises of the client because of the sensitivity of the data. For example, when we are talking about financial services companies, in that case, the security will be that of the premises of the client himself. As far as our system and our technology is concerned, RGPD is a data regulation in terms of enforcement. So we are able at data point level to define the access, to define the rights, to define the life cycle, because you cannot maintain the data of the people unless, and there are all kinds of conditions, and that is manageable at data point level. So we allow our clients to do that. And the good thing with data is that you can log everything and you can see everything that happened with data. You can predefine what could happen with data at the most granular level, and that's definitely something that our technology allows.
What I want to say for the RGPD is that there is two parts. There is two parts in this in the management of the RGPD. This is the first part in our site. So how the information are shared or communicated with in the network. So how we encrypt the information and to make them secure. And the second part is how the end user is using the data. So this is two parts. For the first one, as I said, we encrypt the data and transmit it in a secure way. For the second part, it's used by our customers, which are managing their databases and information sure in a secure way.
Very good. I think that was a very good answer, guys. Thank you very much. I don't know, Ayman or Kush?
You're welcome.
Great.
It's 1 hour 40 now.
Yes, yeah. Well, we have a captive audience, don't we, at the moment? So we're benefiting from that at least. Maybe we're getting late for dinner, but it's fine. But I just want to say thank you very much to everyone for attending, and also a special thanks to obviously to Jihad and Radwan for speaking, and it's been a really in-depth, fascinating discussion, I think. ATUGE especially for facilitating, and then Ayman for his great job moderating, and Mariam for the Q&A session that isn't always easy. All I wanted to say is that I think we have to take this moment of crisis, not lose the momentum of innovation. Avoid having sort of a flashpoint of innovation being in the headlines and being a buzzword, and then just moving on to our sort of traditionalist lives. A lot of people push back from new innovation, but we've really, I think we've all learnt now that without it, we are put into a corner. So we have to learn. Some of us, I think, some colleagues and friends, family members, it's the first time that they've been using things like Zoom. So we have to take sort of these small steps and escalate them, and sort of take the mystique and fear away from innovation in our workplace and in our general lives. So yeah, fascinating discussion. We'll share the recording and contacts on LinkedIn, I'm sure. If everyone's happy to do so, obviously GDPR taken into account, and all the companies will be contactable if the attendees so wish. Well, thank you very much from me.
Absolutely, and for the not answered questions, also, if you could, if you can always reach us. Thank you for all. It was great.
Yeah, go ahead, Radwan. Let's do like, and then Ayman obviously will.
Thank you, ATUGE and OCO for organizing this session. I hope participate to other session with you. Thank you to all of you, and hopefully all the information was helpful for the audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Radwan. Thank you all. It was a really pleasure to be part with you in this event, and I totally agree with Kash. I think we have a great momentum here. So let's keep the momentum. Let's continue fighting COVID-19, and let's transform those opportunities. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Goodbye.
Have a good evening.
Let's see the next article at the BBC, right? about the robot, but not about the
All right.
Guys, thank you.
Cheers.
Good evening. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ciao.